welcome to the IFMAR 1/10 two-wheel drive off-road World Championships held here at the Silver Dollar Raceway in Chico, Northern California, the home of A-Main Hobbies. From the outset, the event has been dogged by bad weather, and despite the blue skies on qualifying day and the organisers' best efforts, the track was proving tough to master. I ventured into the pits to find out just what it's like out there on the track.
Track stays pretty much the same. In the morning it's pretty cold, so it's a little slick. The sun's out now, so I think grip's a little bit better.
The grips is strange. It's not like everyone thinks it's the same as the grip we have at home, but it's not, because we constantly have the grip and we can just be smooth and roll around it, whereas here you get that bit of give, that bit of tyre wobble, and then you can just flip on your roof. So
the track's a lot of fun. It's a lot different than nationals, but the track really came around after it was being wet and stuff.
It's really fun to drive, really fun to drive.
Big jumps, the wind's kind of playing a little bit of a factor. Cars are floating, but overall it's a fast, fun track.
Everyone's getting slightly quicker each time, but I think that's just knowledge and car setup. The track's very consistent, the grip's consistent.
But as qualifying drew to a close, the weather returned in a way which threatened to drown the event altogether. Let's check out something a lot more fun than rain. Back at the track, the rain had stopped, but the mud pool that was once the Silver Dollar Raceway would need a lot of work. Luckily, the A-Main Hobbies crew were unstoppable.
You can just sit down, you're not leaving this town, so put your hands up and face that concrete wall. This place gave you a high, but now it gives you low. Even the wind doesn't want you to go.
Okay, so a superhuman effort from the hosts. But what are we left with to race on?
Trying not to stress or think about the track. I think the track crew will do a good job, and I think if we end up racing today, it'll be good. I'm ready.
Yeah, we're on controlled tyres and X2, which is really hard because when it is dry and sugared, you have a lot of tyre wear and it's perfect. But when it's wet, who knows what's going to happen.
It's not going to be the same as it was that fourth round. Definitely it'll be a little bit different racing-wise, but it still will probably be very one-lined, and it's going to be good. I still believe.
Well, it will definitely be good for someone. Let's join Ollie Meggett to find out who's in with a shot.
Here we are with the cars lined up for the A final. On pole position is going to be Jared Tebow from the USA driving a Team Orion powered Kocho car. Second on the starting grid, it's the defending world champion Ryan Cavalieri, another American driver. This one is Associated, powered by Team Orion again. Third place on the grid, Lee Martin from the UK driving a Muchmore and Viper powered Tamiya. Fourth place on the starting grid, Dustin Evans, another American driver driving a Team Orion powered TLR car. Fifth place on the starting grid, multi-time 12 scale world champion from Japan Naoto Matsukura driving a Yokomo powered Yokomo. Sixth place on the starting grid from USA is Ryan Mayfield with a Radiant LRP powered Associated. Seventh place on the grid from the UK, Darren Bloomfield with a Team Orion powered TLR. Eighth place is David Ronnefeld, the driver from Sweden with a Team Orion powered Kyosho. Ninth place on the starting grid, another American driver, Cody Newmandahl, driving a Radiant LRP powered Associated Centro. And the final qualifier into the A final and former world champion from the UK, Neil Craig, another driver with a Radiant LRP powered Associated Centro. That's the A final grid. Let's get on with the first A final. So the cars blast off, here we go, they go across the jumps for the first time, nice and clear. Or Lee Martin, that orange buggy there, getting a little bit of a dodgy landing on his first lap, but out in front, it's Jared Tebow who leads it from the pole position, with Ryan Cavalieri there in second place, a defending world champion with that yellow and red buggy with those bright yellow wheels. You can see him nice and easy there as he go across the jumps on the infield section for the first time. Onto the far side of the circuit. Wow, look at the mud offline there. You can see the amount of rain we've had here over the last day really has absolutely destroyed the track, and the track crew have made some great efforts at getting the track repaired. But basically, there's now one narrow racing line, and these guys have got to keep their buggies on that line, and that's exactly what Jared Tebow and Ryan Cavalieri are doing right out front. Ryan trying to find a way past Jared as they go across the timing line. We're about 1 minute in, so just over one lap of racing. It's a long lap here around this raceway in California. The first three buggies there breaking away from the rest of the field, and that's Lee Martin going for a tumble, and that now makes it a two-horse race for the lead. It's Jared Tebow from the USA out in front, and then the defending world champion Ryan Cavalieri is there behind him in the second place at the moment as they go through the section in front of the driver's stand one more time. And Cavalieri looks right up the inside there as Tebow makes a small mistake on the landing, but Tebow just gets the door shut in time, and nowhere through for Cavalieri to go there. And up on two wheels again for Tebow as he comes through that infield section there, getting caught up on one of the pipes almost. And Ryan Cavalieri right under the rear wing, trying to find a way past his fellow American driver through that jump section off the main straight. That's a really tricky section, but both drivers taking it slightly cautiously, but also making sure they're not going to give up any time to the opposition. Back into the flat section now, and once again, Tebow makes a big mistake there, clipping the pipe, rolling right over, and then Cavalieri gets caught out by the marshal there. The marshal tried to do everything he could to get the cars back on their wheels, and Cavalieri just caught up by that and put in the wrong place at the wrong time really, as he tried to make a pass on Jared Tebow. And all that has meant that's the orange buggy of Lee Martin from the UK, was third in the race, now up to the lead. Jared Tebow there in second place, and that's Neil Craig from 10th on the grid, another British driver, former world champion in this class from a few years ago though, but certainly back on pace at the moment. Neil Craig now fighting for the lead as well as Lee Martin makes a mistake, the same place where we saw Jared Tebow making that mistake one lap ago, and it's Lee Martin's turn to make the mistake, and that puts Jared Tebow back through into the lead. The pole position driver, the fastest man from qualifying. We end up losing a round of qualifying. In fact, the drivers only had 4 rounds of qualifying rather than the scheduled 5 that they were supposed to get, and Jared Tebow was quickest in 2 of those rounds and earned himself the pole position. Lee Martin was quick in one of the rounds as well and was fastest in one of the earlier rounds of qualifying. That got him up to 3rd on the grid, and we got Lee running there in the second spot at the moment. We're just over halfway through this race now, about halfway through, as Neil Craig from 10th on the grid, showing that the qualifying well. Just getting into the A final is the key thing, and then anything can happen as we've seen. And Neil now right up in the mix there, racing in 3rd place, but gets a little bit wrong over those few jumps, and so we've got the 2 cars at the front breaking away once again. Now Neil Craig maybe actually his experience with the buggy. It's Lee Martin making a big mistake there as he lands very badly coming off that small kicker jump in front of the driver's stand. And look at the lead now. Jared Tebow has got that blue and white buggy out in front as he goes over the jumps on the back section of the track around this fantastic wall ride, and then the small kick onto the main straight, gets the power down nicely there and starting to pull away. We've got Neil Craig there running in 2nd still, and Lee Martin now dropping down to 3rd. So it's American out in front, Great Britain 2nd and 3rd at the moment, but staying fairly static, so we can see it's not just about the speed of the cars, it's about making a mistake. And Neil Craig gets very sideways there as they go through the switchback, the flat section of the track, but manages to keep it pointing in the right direction, holds on to the 2nd spots. As I was just about to say, in fact, these buggies are all different from the buggies they normally race in America. They've sugar-watered this track, making the traction very high, much higher than we're used to from a sort of a dirt track. And a lot of drivers are using buggies that are normally set up for indoor carpet racing, where we have a lot more traction. But they've managed to adapt the setups to this very unique surface that we've got here in California. And Neil Craig, one of the drivers actually to develop one of those conversions that he's running on this car, on the team associated car, and he's putting that to good use here as as he's now closing down Jared Tebow, closing down the leader as we see Jared coming onto the back straight again, and Neil Craig still in second, Lee Martin still in third at the moment. We've only got about 20 seconds to go, and you can see the gap coming down almost corner by corner there as Neil Craig can smell a potential victory here from 10th place on the starting grid, hunting down Jared Tebow as they come around the switchback section one more time, and Tebow catching a pipe there once again. That section really, well, you'd have thought the jump section would be the difficult part of these buggies, but it seems that the flat section is catching them out at the moment as Neil Craig looks up the inside as they come round the wall ride and then outside down the back straight, but Tebow's just got enough power to keep the British driver behind him as they go through the triple jumps. I think this is going to be the last lap for these drivers, so it's going to be a race to the line. This is the race for the winning leg number one. Don't forget we've got 3 legs, but out in front, Jared Tebow's got one corner left. Neil Craig looks up the inside, makes a do or dive move, but just about gets away there. Oh, and Lee Martin and Ryan Cavallari all coming together at the end. But that's Jared Tebow running out the winner. Neil Craig in second, Lee Martin third, and Cavallari just missing out there in 4th place. Here we go then, the second leg of the A final. Jared Tebow again from the pole position gets a good start. Car's taking it nice and tentatively over those jumps for the first time. We got a few people upside down behind, but once again the first 3 buggies starting to break away on the first few corners. Well, it's starting to break away, but we've got almost a freight train here as they come round through the switchbacks. We didn't see this in leg number 1. We saw the first 3 break away very, very quickly, but this time everyone's seeming to stay very, very close on this opening lap. But Jared Tebow from the pole position leads them out. It's Ryan Cavallari behind him, the defending world champion, running in second. Lee Martin, the orange buggy there in third from the UK, former European champion, running the third spot at the moment. But out in front, Jared Tebow. Tebow won the first leg of the A final. We count the best 2 from the 3 results. So the simple maths is, I guess, if Jared Tebow wins this one, then he'll be the world champion. But right behind him, it's the defending world champion with the red and yellow buggy with those yellow wheels. That's Ryan Cavallari. Doesn't want to let that happen. He wants to get the win in here to force it to a third and deciding leg of the finals, and he's doing everything he can to trying to stay in touch, I guess, at the moment, as Tebow is leading this one. Now trying to have, that's Ryan Cavallari trying to defend, really, I think, from Lee Martin now. The second and third place battle there. Really, rather than attacking Tebow, he's got to worry about Lee behind him. But as we say that, Tebow makes one small mistake there, slightly off landing as he comes over the small jump in front of the driver's stand, and Cavallari right there under his rear wing once again. So just one small mistake. Well, it's not even a mistake, it's just a slightly bad landing, and that can change the order up massively, lose huge amounts of time. And we can see here the Ryan Cavallari looking up the inside as they go across the jump section, off the far straight, and then back through the second jump section, trying to close that gap down, put some pressure on Tebow, maybe try and force him into making another mistake, which might be enough for Cavallari to get through. All through that switchback section, we saw the 2 buggies coming together there in the first leg of the A final, which was enough to put Cavallari down the order. Tebow managing to get through that time, but very slow over those jumps before the wall ride that time by, and Cavallari, didn't expect that, I guess, and then couldn't take any advantage of it. Now perhaps trying to figure out where his buggy is faster than Tebow's around this track, but that's just basically slowing these 2 down, and Lee Martin now closing in, and it's now a 3-way battle for the lead as the 3 buggies go through that flat switchback section. That looks like Cavallari perhaps faster through the flatter section and gets right up onto Tebow then, but then not enough space really, I guess, to make a move. Tebow keeping his buggy really close to the pipes, not allowing any sort of any opportunity for Cavallari to make a move up the inside, and they go across the jumps, and maybe it looks like Tebow's buggy slightly better across the jumps as Lee Martin goes tumbling from third place, and Ryan Cavallari makes a big mistake there as they come off the second jump section. That drops him right back and gives Tebow bags of breathing space out in front. Very tentatively he goes through that flat. The driver's almost calling that a touring car section. It's so flat and with such high traction, as we said during leg 1, that these buggies handling very, very differently and almost driving like a touring car that we see on some of the tarmac tracks here on RC Racing TV. But Tebow out in front. We've got Cavallari there in second, Lee Martin in third. No changes of order at the moment, but once again, Lee Martin getting into the rhythm once again after that mistake and closing down Cavallari now, I think. We'll check the gaps. Yeah, the gaps come down ever so slightly this time, and it's now Lee Martin, the fastest man on the track that lap, as he looks to hunt down Ryan Cavallari. Of course, Lee Martin was third in leg number 1, as his fellow Brit Neil Craig got from 10th on the grid up to the second spot. Craig not in the mix this time and it really looks like a 3-way battle as we've got a massive gap back there to the 4th place buggy. But these three out in front at the moment. Thibaut, a comfortable lead, taking it nice and carefully, perhaps not pushing it too much, knowing that he's got about a minute and a half left. Oh, as Cavalieri goes for a tumble there. That section being very, very difficult. And then that's Thibaut gets caught up on the pipe. Within 20 seconds, the race has changed completely, and Lee Martin has gone from running third and not really looking like he was challenging for lead to leading this one now. So Lee Martin from the UK was third in that. Oh, and then we're talking about him. He gets it all wrong there and then gets caught up in the cones as well. And once again, within the space of a lap, we've had a massive change around. And that now looks like it's Ryan Mayfield. Yes, it's Ryan Mayfield, who was running fourth, has now worked his way up to second. And so we've got 1, 2, 3 for America, and Great Britain now in fourth as Lee Martin drops down to the fourth place, was leading it, gets it all round coming off the jumps at the end of the main straight, and drops himself right down to the fourth spot. And that's really allowed Jared Thibaut to extend a lead now, a lead of about half the straightaway, as we've only got about 30 seconds. So realistically, Thibaut is now 30 seconds away from winning the World Championship title. Ryan Mayfield doesn't want that to happen now. It's now Ryan Mayfield who takes up the challenge. The second of the two, well, they're both like blue and white buggies, aren't they? But the second one there, Ryan Mayfield, trying to hunt down Jared Thibaut, fellow American driver. Both of them race each other regularly at American national championships and all sorts of other events around the country. As very eager Marshall there, making sure he's ready to catch anyone if they make any mistakes going through the wall ride. But the first two buggies, no mistakes there, as this is now the final lap. So it's going to be a race to line. Has Mayfield got anything left in him? Jared Thibaut out in front. He's within sight of the world title. Mayfield looks up the inside. Are we going to see another do or die move as we come around the last corner? No, we're not. Jared Thibaut across the line. Thibaut is the world champion. Ryan Mayfield comes through to finish in second place. Ryan Cavalieri was third, Lee Martin fourth, but Jared Thibaut, 2 A finals and 2 wins. He is the world champion. So here we go with the final leg of the A final under lights now, as we're now well into the evening, and due to the earlier rain we've had, we're racing this final race under lights. Jared Thibaut not starting this one, and we've got a battle straight away up front. Jared Thibaut, of course, has wrapped up the World Championship titles, hasn't got to go out and race this one. And there's a big pile up there. Everyone almost getting caught up, and that's allowed the first two cars a very early breakaway at the start of the third leg, the final race here of this World Championships. It's Ryan Cavalieri and Lee Martin, the two drivers who have featured, challenged Jared Thibaut during those first 2A finals, but couldn't quite get the job done in those two races. It's a battle for them two for second place at the moment. Neil Cragg, of course, was second in the first leg, and Ryan Mayfield was second in the second leg of the final, but they're down the order at the moment. So now we've got these two buggies here racing for, I guess, the other two podium places, really. It's Ryan Cavalieri, the defending world champion, not going to be taking home this crown now, but wants to make sure he's at least there on the podium. Lee Martin from the UK, proving that actually it's not just the Americans who are dominating in this buggy racing like we thought they might do. Americans on, a track here in California, we thought it could be an American whitewash, but Lee Martin showed he's certainly got the pace with his buggy at the moment. From the UK, a former European champion, has been challenging in these first 2A finals and now battling with Cavalieri for the lead in this final race of the World Championships. Oh, that's Cavalieri getting a slightly bad landing just before the wall ride there with his yellow and red buggy, but down the back straightaway, gets it under power again. Lee Martin not quite close enough to make any advantage, taking advantage of that small bobble there from Cavalieri, and now this battle once again resumed. The first two cars here on the track, Cavalieri versus Lee Martin, as they go through that flat section one more time, and then over the small tabletop jump. Cavalieri versus Lee Martin. Here in A final, leg number 3, the battle for the lead in this final and the battle for second place on the podium, really. Down the long back straight, and you saw Cavalieri getting up on two wheels there and then rolls it over as he gets a very bad landing and almost getting caught up in a marshal's feet once again. It's all been about, I guess, marshalling for Cavalieri there, getting caught out with the marshal in the first leg of the A final when he hit Thibaut, and then getting caught up with that marshal that time but that's just allowed Lee Martin with that orange and white buggy to pull away in the lead. Cavalieri there safe in second place, and a massive gap back to third. So these two guys really got it between them to fight for the lead, but no fight at the moment as Lee Martin leading this one out. That mistake from that's a very odd landing there from Lee Martin. We've heard that the winds are really getting up at the moment, so maybe that's what's catching Lee Martin out now, and maybe that's what caught Cavalieri out, forced him into the mistake the last time round. The high winds are affecting these buggies, the highest winds we've had, in fact, all week of racing so far. So drivers not used to this, and of course with the track basically being rebuilt for these finals, and the drivers are having no extra practice time. They've had to learn the track during the finals, and I guess Tebow was the quickest one to learn them as he took the first 2 finals, and now these 2 guys have got their cars completely dialed into the slightly different track. So his grip level probably about the same, but the buggy's handling slightly differently, and as I said, the wind also starting to catch them out now, as we've got about 2 minutes of racing left here in this World Championships, the 2-wheel drive electric buggy class. And it's Lee Martin with that orange and white buggy going across the jumps on the far side of the circuit. From the UK, he leads this 3rd leg of the A final out. Ryan Cavallari there in 2nd place. He knows that if Lee Martin makes a mistake, he'll be right there. I'm not sure if he's going to be close enough to be able to pass Lee Martin if Lee makes a mistake, but depends how much of a mistake Lee actually ends up making, if in fact he makes one. We've seen everyone basically making mistakes, being caught out by this very high speed, high traction, and now high windy track. That's what's caused a number of the mistakes we've seen. These drivers doing an absolute fantastic job to keep their buggies generally pointing in the right direction and on all 4 wheels on the dirt surface. And Lee Martin showing them the way home at the moment, as we've got about 1 minute, so maybe 2 or 3 laps left in this World Championship A final, the 3rd and final leg, the final race of the event. It's the British driver. It's now, look at the gap there. The gap to Ryan Cavallari has come down hugely. Cavallari, the fastest car on the track at the moment, really getting that gap down, taking huge chunks out of Lee Martin's lead on the last 2 laps, in fact, as Lee Martin may be going into cruise control now, but that plan's not going to work, because if he continues like that, Cavallari will be past him. We've got about, I think, this lap and 1 more to go. So Lee Martin now getting back underway again, up to full racing speed. I think he was taking it a little bit easier on the last few laps. Yes, and the gap has stabilised this time by. So the gap between these 2 buggies remaining about the same. So Lee Martin found a new turn of speed, knows that Cavallari was closing him down, and gets back underway. Cavallari was pushing it so hard, trying to make that gap up, and makes a mistake just before the wall ride there, and that's given Lee Martin a big lead so he can switch back over to cruise control. I think this is going to be a race to the line now, and in fact it is. Lee Martin out in front here through the last couple of corners. Lee Martin comes through to win a final leg number 3. Cavallari Cavallari make a mistake there just on that last jump, and that's going to put Ryan Mayfield through into 2nd place, and Cavallari down to 3rd. So the Proline overall race results: the world champion Jared Tebow not even having to run that 3rd and final A final. 2nd place overall was Lee Martin, thanks to his win in the 3rd leg. Ryan Mayfield coming through to take 3rd, thanks to Ryan Cavallari's mistake on the final jump. Ryan dropping down to 4th overall. Then it was Neil Cragg in 5th, Dustin Evans 6th, Darren Bloomfield 7th, David Ronefeld 8th, Cody Newmandahl 9th, and Naoto Matsukura in 10th. So that's your Proline race results, brought to you by Team Durango and powered by Dual Sky.
I didn't really get to drive behind much, but it seemed like when people were behind, it was easier to drive. Leading was really tough. They were just really intense mains. I'm still kind of just tense. Just the last main was so intense. I didn't want to see it go to a 3rd main. And I jumped over that one pipe, and I just couldn't believe it. And then the end with Mayfield coming, it was crazy. It was really intense.
To be honest, on the way in, I was thinking, just get a good result, make the main in 2-wheel, get some confidence, blah, blah, move on to 4-wheel where we know the car's really good. And, 2-wheel drive, the car's been awesome and a lot of confidence. And now moving on to 4-wheel, I'm pretty excited and happy with him.
That's it for RC Racing in 2013, and we're back next year. In the meantime, don't forget to check rcracing.tv every single day.